in this clip, we're going to be talking some more about natural movement bodywork. Natural movement bodywork is something that I have been working with for a few years now, and it combines massage, acupressure, reflexology, as well as some other therapies to help bring the dog's body back into balance. In this clip, which is part of a series, we're going to be working on Try's front end here. So basically, what I'd like to do first, before I really get into working on the dog, is just kind of look at him. You know, how is she laying down? She's a little bit nervous right now. There's a window right here, so she's staring out and watching the neighbors. Excuse me. So I'm going to kind of look at her, knowing that she's a little bit wondering what we're doing with the camera and me talking and everything. You know, how does she hold her head? How do her ears lay? Her feet, if she was standing, I would see, you know, is she putting more weight on one leg versus the other? You know, look at her toenails. Do, you know, toenails on a certain side seem a little bit more wore down than toenails on the other side? So I know, because working with Try, obviously her being my dog, is that she does sometimes develop issues right in between her shoulder blades. She can get a bit tight in there, a little bit of heat. So like even right now I can feel she has a little bit of heat going on in her shoulder blades. If I didn't know this dog and I'm working on her for the first time, I'm going to take my hands, and you're going to run your hands. If this, you know, obviously this would be a full body massage, but we're just going to focus on the front end here. You're going to run your hands down her neck, down her shoulders, run a hand down along her spine. Is there any heat? Is there any muscles that feel really hard? Are there muscles that feel really soft? Are there any, you know, depressions where the muscle kind of seems to do like a divot? Does it stand up? Any of these sort of, you know, abnormalities or anything, it's best if you have a piece of paper, or like I have a soap chart that just has little diagrams of dogs on it. You can just circle, you know, she has some heat here, or she has some tension here, that sort of thing. That way when you work on your dog later, you can go refer back to that chart and say, oh, okay, so last week she had, you know, was carrying a lot of tension in her shoulders, you know, or, you know, anything. But it really helps to keep a nice track of what's going on with your dog. So I'm going to run my hands down her a couple of times and see, just feeling for anything. This is just kind of petting with a purpose, basically. I'm just kind of trying to see if I feel anything. Now, after I've gone down her probably 2 to 3 times, I'm then going to take my hands, I'm going to take my thumbs right in front of her little eyeballs here, and I'm playing, I probably can't really see the table, I'm playing not very much pressure, I don't know quite how to explain it, just enough that you're pushing down onto the skin. You're not pushing into the muscle, you're just kind of pushing down so the skin is pushing into the muscle, if you can kind of get what I'm saying here. So I'm going to take my thumbs and run right down her head. Get her to turn a little bit. It'd be nice if you lay down, make it easier. And then my thumbs are going right down her spine, but the spine is in between my 2 thumbs. Between her shoulder blades, so my thumbs run right in between her shoulder blades, and then I continue down the rest of her body. So what this is feeling, I'm feeling for any knots, any tension, anything like that. And I probably do this 2 to 3 times. You know, does the muscle give underneath your thumbs? When you push in, you know, a good way to tell if you've got a real tight muscle or a muscle that maybe needs a little bit more toning is if you push into the muscle, you know, when you go to push into it, like healthy tissue, you should be able to push in and it should just kind of bounce back. Tissue that maybe needs more toning, needs a little bit more work, you can push into it very easily. It just, you know, there's no bounce back. It just pushes right in. A muscle tissue that is tight or, you know, is under stress, when you push into it, it resists that pressure. So those are kind of signs you want to look for as you're running your hands down. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold her head, and very gently I'm going to kind of take a look at her range of motion. Now she starts to resist me a little bit right there. You want to stop. We're not trying to stretch them out. We're not doing anything like that right now. I'm just kind of seeing where does her range of motion lie. And she starts to resist right there, which, where I already know her, I already know because of my running my hands down her, feeling her hot spot in between her shoulders, and now with this range of motion test, all point towards her holding some tension here in her shoulders. This is actually pretty good. She had a very limited range of motion about a week or so ago. She really had some muscle knots there in her shoulders, so that's actually a very nice improvement. Girl, you want to always, or at least I tend to, when I go to do the range of motion, I kind of bring her to center, so we're kind of in a line. I don't start with like her over here or over here, sorry, or anything like that. I kind of want to bring her to center, and I'm supporting. As you can see, I've got my hand on her neck so I can feel, how does that muscle tissue react. Do I feel anything, is anything going on while I'm doing these range of motion tests. Good. So now we've gone side to side, so now I want to go up. And it's a little bit easier if she was sitting down, or if she was sitting. Then you want to bring kind of their head down and kind of bring it down as far as I can go. Good. And once again, as soon as I start to resist, the one thing you don't want to do is if you're doing a range of motion test, she resists right there, don't immediately fling your hand off. Stabilize them, hold them. If she starts to resist, then start to bring them back. You don't want it to be a big affair that they start to resist and you whip your hand away, because then they start, getting aware that every time they resist, you're taking your hand away, and they start to wonder what the heck's going on too. So you always want to be supportive. I've got my hand underneath her chin. I'm supporting her over. I have run into a few clients' dogs that do not like you to manually, do this. You can test range of motion as well with a treat and bring them around. It's not, I don't like it as much as being able to actually feel where they're going, so I can feel that resistance back and forth. But, you can work up to it. If it's your own dog and they don't like you kind of manhandling them back and forth, then you can start with a treat and then gradually work toward, you can start moving them back and forth. So I've done my range of motion tests. So now, and like I said, the natural movement body work, basically what I'm discussing in this clip is just kind of what you're looking for as far as any issues, areas of concern, what to look for. Where I go from this point, after I've done her range of motion, I've evaluated her body, now I'm going to set up, my treatment plan of what does she need. Would she benefit the most from, some massage up here into this, her sore spot? Would she benefit from an acupressure treatment? Most of my sessions that I do with my dogs or with my clients, I combine massage and acupressure almost every single session. I found that is just, it works wonders. The reflexology is very, very new for dogs. It's not, there's not a whole bunch of practitioners doing it right now. The touchy thing with reflexology is, of course, you're working with the dog's feet. So a lot of dogs don't like their feet touched. Try doesn't really mind. I've been practicing on her for years, so she doesn't really mind. So a lot of my sessions don't include the reflexology for certain dogs just because I don't want to stress them out or, cause them any, discomfort of being on the table. It's already kind of weird for dogs. It looks like a vet table, being up on the table and then me kind of over them. I don't want to make it any weirder for them if they have issues with their feet. But if the dogs don't have issues with their feet, then I'll go ahead and I'll usually do a reflexology session as well. So that's going to be it for this clip. In the next clip, I'm going to be going over some massage strokes, what you can do if you find a hot spot, how to treat it, how to, assess any soreness areas or anything like that, and just some basic massage techniques. This series will continue on after we've worked on her front end. Then we'll go down to kind of her mid back, lower back, and then rear end, and we'll kind of break it into segments. Thank you very much.